The rain poured down heavily over New York City, transforming its bustling streets into a sea of umbrellas and shimmering reflections on the drenched asphalt. Water cascaded down car windshields in relentless sheets, each drop colliding like a miniature explosion. Inside one of those cars sat Nathan Carter, a successful and methodical CEO of one of the city's most prominent financial corporations. Focused on his upcoming business presentation, every move of his day was calculated to perfection. Emotion, in his world, was a luxury reserved for moments far from the corporate battlegrounds of Wall Street. But on that day, something unexpected disrupted his carefully orchestrated routine. Stopped at a traffic light, Nathan's attention was drawn to the sidewalk. Amidst the sea of moving pedestrians, he noticed a figure that didn't quite fit into the city's sleek and hurried pace. A young woman stood at the corner, cradling a baby tightly against her chest, both of them drenched by the unforgiving rain. Her coat, worn and soaked through, offered little protection as she tried in vain to shield the baby with her own body. Her thin arms trembled with the effort, and a small cardboard sign she held read, "Please help. We need food and shelter." For a brief moment, a distant memory flickered in Nathan's mind, his own childhood, one marked by scarcity and the cold. He quickly dismissed the thought, gripping the steering wheel tighter. The light was about to turn green, and he had places to be. But something in him, an unfamiliar and stubborn pull, made him glance once more at the woman. Her face, worn with exhaustion but filled with a mother's fierce determination, struck a chord within him. Against all logic and reason, Nathan lowered his window. "Hey," he called out, his voice cutting through the sound of rain. "Get in." The woman hesitated, eyes darting between him and the street. Her distrust was evident, but so was her desperation. Shielding her baby as best she could, she approached the car cautiously. With a slight push, Nathan opened the rear door. "Hurry," he urged, glancing at the light that had already turned green. The woman slid in, cradling her baby protectively. As Nathan pulled away from the curb, he adjusted the car's heater, allowing warmth to seep into the cabin. The woman's shivers slowly subsided. Glancing into the rearview mirror, Nathan observed her face more closely. Beneath the weariness, there was a quiet strength, a kind of dignity he hadn't expected. Their eyes met for a fleeting second before she looked away, her gaze falling on the baby's tiny face. "What's your name?" Nathan asked, his voice softer now. "Leah," she replied, adjusting the baby's blanket. "And this is Mia." Her voice, though tired, carried the weight of love and protection. "Leah and Mia," Nathan repeated quietly. "All right, Leah. You're coming with me." Leah's eyes widened, unsure of his intentions, but she didn't protest. She didn't have many options. To her surprise, they didn't head toward the airport as she had expected. Instead, the car turned down a quiet street lined with large trees and gated homes. They arrived at a sprawling modern mansion, its tall glass windows reflecting the gray stormy sky. Leah's breath caught in her chest. She'd never seen anything like it. "You can stay here tonight," Nathan said, handing her a silver key. "There's food inside. Make yourself comfortable. I'll be back tomorrow." I don't know how to thank you," Leah stammered, clutching the key as though it might vanish. "No need," Nathan replied, avoiding her gaze. "Just take care of the baby." Without waiting for a response, he turned and walked away, leaving her standing in front of the grand entrance, still unsure if this was all real. Once inside, Leah's senses were overwhelmed. The warm air, the scent of fresh flowers, the soft glow of ambient lighting, it was all so far removed from the cold streets she had known. Every step through the living room felt surreal. Her fingers brushed the smooth leather of the couch, the plush carpet beneath her feet offering a softness she'd nearly forgotten existed. In that moment, she decided that, for her daughter's sake, she would accept this gift of shelter. Hours passed. Leah found a guest room where she laid Mia down on the softest bed they'd ever touched. Her little girl's eyes shined with wonder, giggling as she bounced on the mattress. Leah's heart swelled with joy she'd forgotten she could feel. After settling Mia in, Leah explored the house. She discovered the kitchen, gleaming stainless steel appliances, marble countertops, and a refrigerator full of fresh produce and dairy. Her stomach grumbled at the sight. She hadn't had a proper meal in days. Tentatively, she pulled out eggs, bread, and a few vegetables. It felt like a dream to cook in such a pristine space. As the smell of sizzling eggs filled the kitchen, a warmth bloomed inside her. She sat at the table with Mia, feeding her little bites while Mia giggled with delight. This, Leah thought, was happiness. The next morning, Leah's heart felt lighter than it had in years. But that peace was soon shattered. Around noon, the front door swung open. It wasn't Nathan. It was a woman, tall, impeccably dressed, and carrying an air of entitlement. Her sharp eyes scanned Leah and Mia like an unwanted blemish on a spotless surface. "Who are you?" the woman demanded, arms crossed. "I'm Leah," she replied, standing her ground. "Nathan said I could stay here until he returned." The woman's eyes narrowed with suspicion. "Did he now?" she said with a sneer. "How convenient." Without another word, she stormed toward Nathan's study. When Nathan returned later that day, Leah saw it in his face, doubt. His gaze held questions, and Leah's heart sank. She'd seen that look too many times before. "Leah," he said carefully. "Can you tell me more about your situation?" Her breath caught in her throat. "I already told you," she replied, her voice firm but weary. "If you don't trust me, Mia and I will leave." She gathered her things, picked up Mia, and walked toward the door. "Leah, wait," Nathan called, but she didn't stop. This time, she'd leave on her own terms. Days passed. The house felt emptier than ever. Nathan's heart, once so certain of what mattered, felt hollow. He replayed the moment Leah left. The sound of the door closing behind her echoed in his mind like a gavel of finality. Realizing his mistake, Nathan hired a private investigator. When the report came, it broke him. Leah's story, her struggle as a once promising medical student who lost her parents, fell into an abusive relationship, and fought to protect her daughter, was a story of resilience, not deceit. Regret consumed him. Without hesitation, he set out to find Leah. It took hours of searching, knocking on doors, and asking questions in the neighborhood where she had last been seen. Finally, he spotted her near a small shelter on the outskirts of town. She was sitting on a bench, holding Mia close, her eyes scanning the street with cautious vigilance. When Nathan approached, Leah's eyes instantly became guarded but strong. "Leah, please," he pleaded, his voice cracking with genuine emotion. "I was wrong. I let doubt cloud my judgment. But I'm here now. Come back. Not as a guest, but as family." Leah's gaze softened slightly, but she remained silent for a moment, studying his face as if searching for any sign of insincerity. "Family?" she repeated quietly, her eyes shifting down to Mia, who was playing with a small toy in her hands. "Do you even know what that means, Nathan?" Her words stung, but Nathan nodded, swallowing his pride. "I do now," he said. "And I'm ready to prove it. I'm not asking you to trust me right away, but I'm asking for a chance to show you that I'm serious." Silence hung between them, the hum of distant traffic filling the air. Leah's eyes darted to Mia, her expression a mixture of exhaustion and hope. "Mia deserves better than promises, Nathan. I've had too many of those." "I'm not promising, Leah," Nathan said, taking a step forward. "I'm acting. Come with me. See it for yourself." Leah's resolve seemed to waver. She glanced down at Mia, then back at Nathan. With a deep breath, she stood. "All right, but one step out of line, and we're gone," she said firmly. "Deal," Nathan replied with a relieved smile. He extended his hand to help carry Mia's small bag, but Leah held it herself. It wasn't about pride, it was about control. The ride back to Nathan's house was quiet but not tense. Nathan's eyes flickered to the rearview mirror now and then, seeing Mia dozing peacefully in Leah's arms. His heart ached, knowing how much he'd hurt them both with his doubt. When they arrived, Leah's face remained unreadable, but she stepped inside with cautious curiosity. The house, so large and cold before, now felt warm with their presence. The familiar smell of fresh flowers returned, and Mia's soft laughter echoed in the halls as Leah explored the kitchen, pulling out the same eggs and bread she'd cooked on her first night there. Nathan's heart swelled as he watched from the doorway, his mind filled with a clarity he'd never known before. "Welcome home," he said softly. Leah looked up, meeting his gaze with a faint but genuine smile. "We'll see," she replied, her eyes filled with both caution and hope. It wasn't a promise, but it was a start. That evening, Leah took time to familiarize herself with the house. She explored each room with Mia toddling behind her, wide-eyed with excitement. Every space told a story of wealth, precision, and order, but Leah's attention was on finding warmth, not wealth. She opened closets and drawers, discovering fresh linens, towels, and clothes far nicer than anything she had worn in years. Slowly, she began to feel the weight of exhaustion leave her shoulders. In the kitchen, she prepared a simple dinner of soup and sandwiches. Mia sat at the kitchen island, swinging her little legs while nibbling on pieces of bread. Nathan watched from the doorway, his heart filled with an unfamiliar sense of peace. It was a domestic scene he'd never realized he craved. "Smells good," Nathan remarked as he stepped into the kitchen, the warmth of the moment softening his typically stoic demeanor. "It's just soup," Leah replied, glancing at him but unable to keep a small smile from curling her lips. "Sometimes, simple things are the best," he said, pulling out a chair and sitting at the kitchen island. "Can I help?" Leah raised an eyebrow, half expecting him to be joking, but his face was sincere. "You're serious?" she asked, crossing her arms. "I'm serious," he replied. "Tell me what to do." She handed him a knife and pointed to a pile of vegetables. "Chop those, but be careful with your fingers, CEO." He chuckled, a deep, rich sound that echoed in the kitchen like music. "Noted, boss." For the first time in a long time, Nathan felt normal, like a man, not a title. That night, after dinner, Leah tucked Mia into a bed far too big for the little girl, but the child's happy giggles echoed through the room. Leah lay beside her, tracing Mia's tiny fingers, her heart full of both gratitude and uncertainty. Moments like this didn't last, at least not in her experience. But she'd savor it for now. Downstairs, Nathan sat by the large window, looking out at the rain, his thoughts heavy. He'd spent years chasing perfection, wealth, and status, but for the first time, he realized how empty it had all been. The sound of Mia's laughter upstairs reminded him of what he'd been missing. Family. Warmth. Purpose. He made a quiet vow to himself, he would not let doubt ruin this again. Leah and Mia weren't just guests in his house, they were his chance at something more, something real. He closed his eyes, letting the sound of the rain calm his mind. Tomorrow would be a new day, and for the first time in a long time, he looked forward to it. This story teaches us the profound power of second chances and the impact of compassion. Nathan's journey shows that wealth and status mean little without human connection. His decision to trust Leah and open his heart brought warmth and love into a house that had once been cold and lifeless. For Leah, it's a reminder that perseverance and hope can lead to unexpected opportunities. Take a moment to reflect on your own life. Have you ever had a chance to offer compassion or to receive it? How did it change you or someone else? Share your thoughts in the comments and let's inspire each other with stories of hope, kindness, and second chances. Sometimes, it's the simplest acts of trust and love that bring about the greatest transformations.